Hi everyone, it's Ryan Liberty. In this video, I'm going to answer the question, what is emotional abuse? Let's find out. Alright everybody, welcome, and we're going to discuss what is emotional abuse in this video, but before I get to that and how it feels, I have to give a little disclaimer here, which is that we are discussing emotional abuse and it is an abusive behavior. So if you find that you're somebody who's easily triggered by discussion of abuse, you may want to turn the video off now and revisit if you feel like you're comfortable at a later time, or maybe just not visit the video, that's also okay. Emotional abuse, since we're talking specifically about that, when it comes to emotional abuse, the way that you distinguish whether it's abuse or not is that it's a pattern over time, over and over and over again, something is happening. And I say that because when it comes to emotional abuse, we all do things that could be considered emotional abuse, except that we do them like every now and then. It's a rare occurrence. It's not our normal way of behaving. And because of that, it's not abuse when it happens that way. But when it's something that consistently happens over and over and over again, that is considered emotional abuse. If you find that you're in an abusive situation of any kind, I deeply urge you to seek some kind of support from a trusted friend, a support group online. There's anonymous ones out there. There's hotlines you can call, shelters, therapy, whatever it is. Find the support that you need and make sure it's somebody that you feel trust and care from. So with all of that said, let's get into what emotional abuse is. Now, emotional abuse is something that wears at the victim's self-esteem. So your pride, your good feelings about yourself, your sense of agency in the world, just the way that you feel generally confident, happy. Emotional abuse takes away from all of that and wears it all down. And it does that through a number of different ways. So there is verbal abuse, which constitutes things like name calling, judging. I've got my notes here in case you didn't notice. I always like to make sure I'm giving you good information. So name calling, judging, threats, minimizing, blaming, guilt tripping, derailing, which is taking the conversation away from somebody's needs and moving it towards our needs, which is a form of minimizing, or gaslighting, which is a distortion of events, kind of like a lying, or I have a video about gaslighting, so you can check that one out. So those are the verbal ways that emotional abuse happens, and there's also behavioral ways, such as withdrawing from a relationship. The typical way is the silent treatment, which is a very prolonged silence, and I'll also do a video about that. Isolating, which is taking somebody away from people, away from their friends and family, and trying to keep control over them. Taking things away from somebody, controlling finances, which is also known as financial abuse. Neglect, which is just not taking responsibility for things, not caring for somebody in the way that typically would be expected. This often happens with children, unfortunately. Enmeshment, which is a destruction of boundaries. It's when somebody tries to, it's hard to explain, it's when somebody tries to overcome you and merge with you and become one with you. That would be enmeshment, so that there's no boundary between the two of you, there's no separation, you exist as one complete unit. That's the goal of enmeshment. And dominance and control is just the big general thing to look for when it comes to emotional abuse, trying to gain control over somebody, trying to dominate over them. Now, again, a quick reminder, this is a pattern. We all do these things, so if you see it once or twice, that doesn't mean that somebody's committing emotional abuse, but if it's something consistent over and over and over again, you may be dealing with an emotionally abusive person, and you should seek help for that. And something else to also note is that regardless of the person's intention, some people may do these things out of defense. They may feel very victimized and they retaliate. They do these things because that's all they know. That's how they grew up. They just react and they don't know what they're doing. none of that matters. It's still emotional abuse, regardless of the intention of the person. So let's recognize it for what it is and take the appropriate steps to distance ourselves from emotional abuse when we see it's happening. Now, how does it feel to be a victim of emotional abuse? Well, typically you're going to feel the symptoms of trauma, and I have a video of trauma that you can go ahead and check out. But I'll give you a quick little overview here so that you know generally what you could be looking out for. And in your body, you'll experience this as things like a racing heart, hypersensitive or undersensitive to things, which is alexithymia. You may not have a good sense of feeling or sensing things. You could be tired, have panic attacks, trouble sleeping, many different things. As far as what's going on in your head, you may find that you have trouble concentrating, you may have racing thoughts, what just happened, negative thoughts, your memory may be kind of shaky, you may think that you're a bad person or you can't trust anybody. All those kinds of things may arise as a result of emotional abuse. As far as the emotions you're feeling when you're being emotionally abused, you may feel suspicious of people, you may feel trapped, powerless, afraid, confused, abandoned, grief, sadness, you may feel defensive, you may start to lose touch with the feeling of your body or the environment, which is derealization, depersonalization. You may feel shame, embarrassment about what's going on. There's a lot of ways that this could manifest and the way you experience it. And behaviorally, you may start to behave a little bit out of proportion of what's going on in the present moment. You may try to avoid situations. You may start to dissociate and space out. You may start getting reckless and have outbursts. You may try to protect yourself by having a feeling that you're superior to others and have this great, big, grand vision for yourself. You may find that you're hypervigilant and looking for threats everywhere. You may have trouble with authority figures. Tons of ways that this can manifest. The key here is that if you're experiencing emotional abuse and it's something that's a pattern coming from a specific person, that you distance yourself from that person, you get the support that you need in any way that you can, and do what's necessary to protect yourself. Remember, it doesn't matter what the intentions are of that person. This person is causing psychological damage to your health and well-being. That's not okay. It's not acceptable, and you need to take measures to protect yourself so that you don't start to feel overpowered, controlled, and dominated and taken advantage of. So that is a quick overview of what emotional abuse is. If you've experienced emotional abuse, if you have any thoughts on this or you have something you want to say, please leave it below, because I know we all experience this differently, and I'd love to know what you have to think about this. But with all of that said, I appreciate you learning about this topic today and taking care of your mental health, so thank you for joining me here. Hey, it's Ryan Liberty. If you liked that video, please give it a thumbs up, share with a friend, and leave any questions or comments down below, because that would really help me out. If you're somebody who's gone through a traumatic event and you're feeling cut off from the people around you, I have a free course that will help with that, so please click to get it. And if you'd like to see the rest of my videos, please click subscribe. As always, I want to remind you that your life matters. Nobody can question your worth. However it is that you're feeling, whatever it is that you're going through, it's okay, and you are loved. Thanks again for watching.